Hey guys, and welcome back to ScarletSprites. Today we're looking at a recent arcade board pickup, and I thought it might be fun to just unpack this and make a quick video and talk a little bit about this latest nonsense. So all of that is up next. So before getting started, I wanted to send another round of thanks out to everyone who joined the channel as a producer by clicking the join button down below. New producer shoutouts go to How to Bachelor, Patrick Blank, JT, Blipsqueak, and Daniel Billet. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and content here at ScarletSprites. Okay, I realize that I show a lot of cabinet stuff on the channel, but I also buy a lot of spare boards from time to time to collect and play. I think a common misconception among people who aren't into arcade stuff assume that if you buy an arcade machine, you're locked into playing a single game on it, and I think that's a little bit of a deterrent. Now, I've shown some multis here on the channel before, like the Sega STV multi-cart, the Darksoft CPS2, and even how to net boot any Naomi or a Thomas Wave game here on the Blast City. You really can make the most of your setups with solutions like these. But you can also simply plug and play a lot of JAMA boards. In many cases, it's as easy as swapping your harness from one board to another. Now, you may have to dig into some details with extra kick buttons for some later games, but we're not going to get into the weeds on that here today. The point really is that if you have a running arcade setup or a super gun, you could collect and play arcade boards pretty similarly to how a lot of people collect console cartridges. A genre I haven't done much with are the light gun shooters. I have the Virtua Cop 2 cabinet, which can be used for, well, Virtua Cop 2, but also House of the Dead. The wiring is the same for both of these despite there being a lot of connections to fool around with, but this isn't JAMA, so no plug and play with other games, unfortunately. But after pulling out the Police Trainer board from that Dynamo cabinet a few weeks back, I wanted to test to see if it worked, and so I hooked it up to the Astro City, and look, this isn't ideal or what I'd call a permanent setup by any stretch, but it's certainly playable. There's little need to rip the control panel off just for the guns that plug directly into the board here, so as long as you're careful, you can get away with something like this. You just don't want any clumsy, reckless people around when this is how you're rolling. But this does work. So this had me thinking about other light gun games that I might want to grab, especially if I can just plug and play the Hat pistols into the boards pretty easily. Now, there are a few games out there that can in fact use the Hat guns, but Atari's quirky Area 51 came to mind. It's weird, it's what I would call a Coors Light game, and really, even in the mid-90s, this game wasn't all that dazzling considering it was often competing for arcade space with Virtua Cop and even Time Crisis just a few months later. But it's a guilty pleasure, and I know that I've seen Atari's other light gun game, Maximum Force, run in tandem on the same board. So this seems like a good opportunity to maybe grab two games on one board. So here's the pickup, and I'll show a little unboxing action here. This is mostly well packed. You can see the original hard drive is in here, and that's just kind of laying on top of everything else here. 2022 has been the year of Hat pistols, it seems. Here's another red one that was included with the bundle. And in lieu of using that old hard drive, the seller had already upgraded this board to a compact flash card. You can see it has both Area 51 and Maximum Force on it. He also tossed in the original wiring harness, which may or may not be useful down the road. I probably don't have any use for this today, but who knows what the future may bring. Here's another Hat pistol. This time in green. This is the first and only green gun in my collection. Even my Sega branded guns on Virtua Cop 2 are red, so hooray for some variety here. And finally, on the bottom here, not wrapped in an anti-static bag of any kind, is the Well, it's not technically Area 51. This is a maximum force PCB, but that's okay, as it serves the same purpose for what we want to do with it, which is to run both Area 51 and maximum force. You can see the board is dirty, so I'll go ahead and clean that all up here shortly. You can also see that this board is based off of the Atari Jaguar hardware. Both chips on the board proudly sporting that name. So here's a shot of that very same board, all cleaned up. I removed all the socketed chips, gave it a little simple green and a rinse, allowed it to dry for 3 days, and here we are good to go. You can see I had the compact flash card plugged in too, and I did have to buy this female to female Molex adapter to stretch and get power over across to it, but that's okay, it works. I also added a few new caps to the board just because I had my tools out and I had the correct caps on hand. As for the hard drive, since this was originally a maximum force board, that's what the hard drive is, you can see it has this impact sensor across the front to show whether or not it was dropped. The stripe is still white, and I did boot this up on my PC and was able to dump the original maximum force image off of this. Kind of a pointless exercise, but curiosity did get the better of me when I gave that a shot. The footage you're watching is maximum force running in MAME using the exact image that I made from this drive. I know you probably don't care, but I thought it was cool. Alright, so I haven't done much with these guns yet. They are wired to work with the original harness, which I won't be using today, so as to whether or not they actually work, I don't know. Places them in the same category as my dynamo guns that I still have yet to get to as well. So on the board, you can see the wire colors are labeled right here on the board, and the HAP guns use those same colors, making this really easy to line up and plug right into the connector. Now again, this isn't the greatest setup. It's a little clunky and could be cleaned up a bit, but you can see the board boots up nicely, and my known working HAP pistol works great with this. So this is a decent find, and I now add 2 of Atari's final arcade games to my collection. Earlier I referred to these as Coors Light titles, which is to say that I'm fully aware these aren't great games. They're likely something you played at the movie theater, bowling alley, or boardwalk, and they're just mindless fun. It's like a Michael Bay video game almost. So yes, I know this isn't like grabbing a cave shooter or Bat Rider or something like that, but I do have a soft spot for some of these trash 90s games that I recall playing when I was in high school and early college. Because yeah, this isn't exactly a masterpiece of any kind, I get it, but it doesn't stop me from wanting to grab these types of games and kind of just assemble a collection of trash classics, if you will. So that's today's video, just a quick, genuine arcade board pickup for some extra mindless fun on the Astro City. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking this out. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and join if you'd like to support the channel, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.